We are so back. Let's get it. Okay, so everyone knows Cher, right? An absolute icon of music and pop culture, Cher has been in the public eye for almost 6 decades at this point. And during that time, she's become known for a lot of things. Her fashion, her hit songs, her unwillingness to compromise to any kind of societal norms has made her a legend. What's a bit less known, maybe, I'm not sure, is her movies. Sure, anyone over the age of 25 could probably name a couple Cher movies, and most people probably know about her Oscar win. But how many can say that they've seen every Cher movie? Me, I can. I can say that I have spent the last 2 months watching every single Cher movie. So I'm here to share my findings with you and kind of chronicle Cher's life through these movies and the really interesting story behind her film career. So without further ado, let me take you through the life and filmography of the iconic Cher. Okay, so first, sort of a quick overview. Over the course of her life, so far, Cher has starred in 20 movies. So I'm going to go through each of them in chronological order and give important context or interesting commentary as I go. And sidebar, if you think this is a video where I'm going to go through Cher's movies and laugh and shit on her and say she's bad, you got the wrong one. I'm not really sure what the general consensus on her filmography is, but you're not going to find me bad-mouthing it here. I am absolutely obsessed with Cher. That's queen. In fact, just hold on 1 sec. Yeah. That is going to be Cher's farewell tour shirt. Well, yes. And she was also my senior quote, and so Oprah doesn't get me. There are lots of things I would like to be, and nice just doesn't seem good enough. So safe to say, if you're looking for Cher hate, go ahead and click off. Go ahead and click off right now. All that being said, I will try to be impartial with my analysis of these movies. So with that, let's get started. To begin, here's a super brief intro to Cher's initial entrance into stardom. In 1965, at the age of only 19, she became popular as one half of the singing duo Sonny and Cher, seeing success from their hit records I Got You Babe, The Beat Goes On, and a couple others. In the midst of this initial success, we get her first movie, Wild on the Beach. She and Sonny briefly cameo as themselves to sing It's Gonna Rain. And this is where I have to come clean and tell you I haven't actually seen every Cher movie. Wait. Yes, I know I'm a liar, and so is the title, but who is going to click on a video that says I watched every Cher movie except for one, okay? And believe me, I tried. This movie is absolutely nowhere to be found. Not on streaming, not on bootleg, not available to rent, nowhere. The only way to watch this is if it comes across a cable channel or I buy the $25 DVD, which I have no way to play. So it's just not happening. So forgive me, but this is just the one that got away. However, from what I can gather, Wild on the Beach seems to be the typical beach party movie. This genre of movie became somewhat popular in the 60s, and they each followed the same essential themes. Teens having fun on the beach, accompanied by lots of musical performances. There's also usually an emphasis on teen freedom and undertones of sexuality, but it's never really present in the movie, only really in the marketing. Wild on the Beach was particularly chaste, as no one actually even wears a bikini or does anything on the beach except for walk. Also, it's shot in black and white, whereas most beach party movies of the time were shot in color. It's actually super interesting that Sonny and Cher would be in a movie that was more safe than its contemporaries because it directly parallels their position in the music industry at the time. By 1967, the duo was already starting to fade into obscurity due to their conservative stances on sex and drugs. The 60s marked a period of revolution in youth culture away from traditional values. They embraced the use of recreational drugs and sexual liberation and wanted their favorite artists to share those same values. But Sonny and Cher just didn't. Their monogamous relationship and anti-drug stance made them lose favor among much of America's youth. And so, to try and get this favor back, they would produce and star in their next film, Good Times. Good Times follows Sonny and Cher playing themselves, as they imagine different ideas for an upcoming movie that they have to make. It imagines the duo in 3 different classic movie tropes: a western, a crime noir, and a jungle story, but through a satirical lens. They also sing all throughout. And I have to be honest, I came in with pretty low expectations for this one, but I was actually pleasantly surprised. It's not amazing by any means, but I definitely laughed a couple times, and Cher looks absolutely fabulous, so I got through it. What I found particularly interesting, though, is the fact that the movie is basically Sunny featuring Cher. Every story centers Sunny, with Cher playing a pretty minor character, and I'm honestly not sure why. Maybe Cher didn't want to be that involved or something, but this backseat role she takes is so unlike the presence and agency that she would become known for. She has spoken about having stage fright, and during the Sunny and Cher show, which I'll talk about a little bit later, Sunny would be the more comedic and loud presence, so maybe this is just kind of a reflection of that. But honestly, why any studio would choose to give Sunny more screen time and lines than Cher is beyond me. So with all that being said, did Good Times win back their youth audience? No. From what I can tell, the film was received quite poorly, and Sunny and Cher continued their descent into obscurity. With no charting records, they were dropped from their label, and it seemed like their 15 minutes of fame were up. In what looks like a last-ditch effort, the couple spent $500,000 and mortgaged their home to produce their next film, Chastity. Written and directed by Sunny, but exclusively starring Cher, the film follows her as Chastity, a girl searching for purpose and meaning in her life. Okay, so remember earlier when I said I was going to try to be impartial and judge her movies fairly? Yeah, I'm sticking to that because this was absolutely atrocious. It's just a nothing story that drags on endlessly with no real plot in sight. It mostly just consists of Cher kind of walking around and pontificating about whatever is on her mind. She has a very IDGAF energy that at first was mildly entertaining. There's a scene in the beginning where this guy asks, "Do you mind if I get change?" And she responds, "I don't mind if you slit your throat." But after I was about an hour in, I was ready to turn it off. The only redeeming quality is Cher's fashion, but other than that, there is simply no reason to watch this movie. And the critics agree with me. Clifford Terry of the Chicago Times and Vincent Canby of the New York Times both canned it, and the film was a flop. So post-Chastity, Cher was at the lowest point she had ever hit in her career. She and Sunny were in massive debt from the movie, and they had no new music coming out. But everything changed in 1971 with the Sunny and Cher Comedy Hour. Okay, so apparently it came about after the duo would perform in these incredibly shitty venues where they would get heckled. So Cher would heckle back, and then when Sunny would reprimand her, Cher would heckle Sunny. People started coming just to see this act within an act, and then TV execs started noticing, and the rest is history. The show launched her into superstardom and reintroduced America to her talent and her iconic Bob Mackie gowns. For the next decade, Cher wouldn't act in a movie again. During this time, she's releasing hit songs like Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, Dark Lady, and really cementing herself in this pop star persona. She and Sunny divorced in 1974, and for the next 8 years, she would continue strictly in music and television. Things weren't always great, and she certainly had ups and downs in this period, but she remained a star. But the call to act still lingered. And make no mistake, if the artsy-fartsiness of Chastity didn't convince you, Cher was not in this for a cash grab. She always wanted to act. So in 1982, she decided it was time to try again. She moved to New York and auditioned for the Broadway production of Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, Jimmy Dean. She got the part, and within a year, she was cast for the movie adaptation too. The movie follows a 20-year reunion of a Jimmy Dean fan club, where lots of drama unfolds and secrets are revealed. Cher plays Sissy, a member of the club with confidence and attitude, which all but unravels when she reveals that she had a double mastectomy, which caused her husband to leave her. Although it has kind of a bit of a slow start, in my opinion, I really liked this movie. Once the drama gets going, it really just pulls you in, and I love Karen Black in this. Cher's performance in this specifically really proves she can act, and confirm my suspicions that the problem with her previous movies was Sunny's involvement. There's this tearful monologue at the end, which she pulls off just excellently. Critics generally seemed favorable to the movie and her performance. Roger Ebert even called her performance a revelation. There were some negative reviews, but ultimately, Cher walked away with a Best Supporting Actress nomination at the Golden Globes. And I actually really don't want to downplay how impressive this is. For the decade prior to this, Cher had cemented herself as this larger-than-life pop star icon whose previous movies had all been complete and utter flops. To get people to see her as a serious actor was an almost impossible feat, especially in a society that doesn't really let women be complex or multifaceted individuals. So to actually be noticed for her performance and receive an awards nod is huge. But this acclaim was not coming from general audiences who didn't even really see the movie. The film never got a wide theatrical release, as its director Robert Altman didn't want to work with any major studios. So Cher still had a bit more work to do to convince general audiences that she had what it took to be a serious actor, and studio execs that she had what it took to be a box office draw. Her opportunity came a year later, when director Mike Nichols and co-screenwriter Nora Ephron saw Cher in the stage production of Jimmy Dean, and felt she was perfect for the upcoming movie they were producing. Nichols offered her a part, which she accepted without even reading the script. This movie would become Silkwood, where Cher plays Dolly Pellicker, a lesbian working at a plutonium plant opposite Meryl Streep. The movie centers on Streep's Karen Silkwood, as she slowly uncovers the dark secrets the plant has been hiding from its employees. I really enjoyed this movie, and I think Streep and Cher both give outstanding performances. Cher in particular pulls off the emotional parts quite well, and obviously so does Streep, but that's not what this video is about. I do have some issues with it. There's this weird looming element of racism that's just never explained, but for the most part, the story is super captivating, and I would definitely recommend it. To try and help Cher translate better on screen, there was a conscious and extreme deglamming effort, which Cher apparently hated. I think the best way to summarize is just to listen to Cher explain the audience reaction to the screening.
I read when I started looking into movies that when you went to the Silkwood screening and your name came up on the credits, you heard something that greatly displeased you.
Well, it wasn't the screening. They called and said they're playing the trailer at the UA Egyptian in Westwood. So my sister, coming attractions. And my sister and my manager and my sister's husband, we all ran down there. We were really excited, and we went in. We sat down, and all the names started coming up. And when my name came up, the entire theater started to laugh, and it shocked me, and I knew it was a real organic emotion because everybody did it. My agent told me that when they had the preview in Chicago, that in the beginning of the movie, when my name came up, people started to laugh, and at the end of the movie, when my name came up, people started to applaud. And he said, "You're just going to have to wait." He said, "It's going to be really rough. You're just going to have to be tough and stick this one out."
So slowly, but surely, she was beginning to be accepted as a serious actress. This hesitation was also reflected in reviews for Silkwood. Vincent Canby said, "Whether or not Cher is a great actress, I'm still not sure. But when you take away those wild wigs she wears on television and substitute something a little less riveting for her crazy Bob Mackie gowns, there's an honest, complex screen presence underneath." Janet Maslin wrote, "It remains to be seen whether Cher simply being Cher will continue to be an occupational obstacle." Nevertheless, Cher emerged with another Golden Globe nomination, which she won, and an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress, which she lost to Linda Hunt. So at this point, she had established that she could do good work, but she wanted to do even better. Jimmy Dean and Silkwood both had her in supporting roles, but to really prove herself, she would need to be able to carry a film all on her own. Her chance to do that came in 1985 in the form of Mask. In Mask, Cher takes the leading role of Rusty Dennis, an effortlessly cool biker mom who has a son with a cranial disorder. I believe this is the first movie I ever saw her in, and oh my god, what a way to start. She's so funny and confident here, but definitely pulls off the emotional stuff as well. And she looks incredible. It's truly a great movie. I don't have a ton to say about the movies she was making in the mid-80s because it's been about a year since I've seen them, but cut me some slack. If there were 3 movies I didn't want to watch and 17 that I had to do, just let me live, okay? Anywho, critics were super positive, and it seemed like Cher had finally pulled off her actor's turn. Ahead of the movie's release, Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune wrote, "A second Oscar nomination seems assured. Cher is absolutely convincing and a tremendously effective tearjerker opening Friday nationwide." An LA Times article said of her performance, "The depths underneath it are powerful." She won the Cannes Film Festival Best Actress and was nominated for another Golden Globe, but when it came time for Oscar nominations, her name went uncalled. She had been snubbed, but she would not go down without a fight. She actually presented at that year's Oscars and came out in one of her most iconic outfits to date, a Bob Mackie design that was sure to upset the crotchety Hollywood establishment. She wanted to make a statement that served as a fuck you to the Academy.
I had the idea mostly because the Academy didn't really like me, so I thought they hated the way I dressed, and I had young boyfriends, and they just thought I wasn't serious, so I came out and said, as you can see, I got my handbook on how to dress like a serious actress.
And she certainly did. Even after this, though, she was not ready to give up. Cher was going to prove to the Hollywood elites that she was a great actress without making any compromises. And this time, she wasn't going to fail. So in 1987, she went big. She starred in 3 movies this year. First came Witches of Eastwick, her first comedy. Cher plays Alexandra, a recent divorcee who, along with her besties, played by Susan Sarandon and Michelle Pfeiffer, are looking for Mr. Right in a town with less than stellar prospects. Their wish is granted when a mysterious millionaire moves into Eastwick and charms all 3 of them, although they soon learn he's much more sinister than he appears. This movie was pretty good, although I really struggled having to sit through watching these 3 queens fall for Jack Nicholson. There's a specific part where Cher absolutely reads him down, only to turn right back around and hook up with him, and...
Are you trying to seduce me?
A few moments later.
Oh my god!
Lord, give me strength. It got pretty mixed reviews, but this was never meant to be Cher's Oscar vehicle, so it can just be fun. It also smashed at the box office. Next came Suspect, a courtroom drama where Cher plays public defender Kathleen Riley, who, while trying to exonerate a deaf and homeless man for murder, falls into entanglement with a juror played by Dennis Quaid. I have to say, towards the beginning, the plot was just pissing me off, because why would that man not leave her alone? Like, whatever gave him the audacity to think that he would somehow be a better lawyer than her is beyond me. But I think overall the story played out nicely and it had a compelling twist. This got better reviews than Witches, but still the best was yet to come. Her final film of this year would be Moonstruck, a romantic comedy which would become her career-defining role. As I was deciding whether I really wanted to commit to this video, Cher posted a story on her Instagram commemorating the movie's 36-year anniversary release and said that it changed her life forever. And that's when I knew I was simply destined to make this video. I genuinely cannot say enough good things about Moonstruck. It's truly that good. Cher plays Loretta Castorini and strikes the perfect balance between comedy and emotion. There are so many iconic lines in here too. It is simply excellent. The movie received stellar reviews, and finally, Cher was nominated for her first Best Actress Oscar. Along with these 3 movies, Cher made sure to be inescapable in the public eye. She released her self-titled comeback album, her first in 5 years, performed on SNL, reunited with Sonny on Letterman, did a Barbara Walters special, a 60 Minutes, and appeared on the cover of what seemed like literally every magazine. She was running a campaign, and she executed it perfectly. Even still, her victory was not assured. In a Washington Post article predicting the Oscar races, the writer said, "Hollywood is not really crazy about Cher. Yes, they think she has talent, finally. Yes, they respect her drive and determination to break through as an actress, but the sentiment is that she is too independent, too outspoken, too, well, tacky. They'd much rather give the award to Meryl Streep or Glenn Close, because even if they're playing bums or psychos, those perpetual Oscar baiters still have class, taste, and legitimate acting credentials, all the things that appeal to Oscar's sense of snobbery, and all the things that Cher gloriously lacks." So, would it be enough?
Winner is Cher in Moonstruck.
She did it. In 1988, she was nominated for her first Best Actress performance, and she won. I cannot stress enough how impressive this really is. Besides the fact she had to overcome everyone's preconceived notions about her and her talent, she won this Oscar when she was 41. By no means am I saying that's old, but 40 is when most women's careers are practically over in Hollywood, especially in the 80s. She didn't even start acting in serious movies until she was 36. To accomplish what she did is honestly astonishing. It was a culmination of talent and campaigning that had led her to this moment, and she was finally able to prove to everyone what she had known all along. She could act and act well.
When I was little, my mother said, "I want you to be something." And I guess this represents 23 or 24 years of my work. And I don't think that this means that I am somebody, but I guess I'm on my way. Thank you.
So, as she stood at the peak of the cinema mountain, where would she go next? Cher didn't star in another movie for 3 years. And all throughout this video, I've been kind of setting it up as Cher against the Hollywood elites, that she was out to prove a point and reach some sort of goal. But I think the more honest reality is that Cher was acting because she wanted to do it. She enjoyed it. She wasn't striving to become the next Meryl Streep. She has said, "I don't like making movies, I like acting," and that I never went from being what I was to being a serious actress. I don't like labels, and I don't particularly like that one. I'm not a serious actor, and I'm not a serious singer. I'm someone who feels a responsibility to the work that I do, whatever it is. She simply started doing it because she enjoyed it and wanted to try. To attempt to put Cher in a box or try to figure her out is impossible. She is undefinable. Cher is simply Cher. Someone who does whatever they want, whenever they feel like it. But there may have been other reasons as well. In a more recent interview, when asked about her step back, she said, "I got really sick with the Epstein-Barr virus. For 2 years, I couldn't work. It was terrible. I ended the second year with pneumonia. All these movie offers were coming in, but I had to turn them all down. I was really, really upset about it." This kind of contrasts with an interview that she gave the LA Times in 1991, where she more so gives the vibes that she just wasn't finding any compelling projects. But anyway, with all that being said, yes, Cher would not make another movie until 1990. That movie was Mermaids, where she stars as the free-willed and sexually liberated mother of 2 very different daughters, played by Christina Ricci and Winona Ryder. It's really sweet and enjoyable, and overall just a fun time. It famously had a pretty tumultuous production, going through 3 directors before it was finished. Cher went on to say, "I feel if you're stupid, I'm difficult. Lasse Hallstrom was nuts, and Frank Oz is an idiot. Just because director is behind their name doesn't mean that everything that comes out of their mouth is etched in stone. Period." The movie got really good reviews, which was surprising to me because it seems like the type of movie that male critics would just love to hate on. But nonetheless, it was well received. More importantly though, this movie marks a noticeable shift in the type of characters that Cher would go on to play. Save for a couple movies, the rest of Cher's filmography will go on to be either direct cameos or roles that very closely resemble her real-life persona. So Mermaids is the first of these roles. Critics noticed this change too. Roger Ebert's review of the film noted that Cher does not entirely suffer her famous persona to disappear inside the role, and that her character was not only played by Cher, but in an eerie sense played as Cher. Regardless, it marked another success for her. Her next 2 films would be cameos in Robert Altman productions, the man who first gave her a shot in Hollywood and who she had a very deep respect for. In 1992 came The Player, and in 1994, Pret-a-Porter or Ready to Wear, both of which I thoroughly did not enjoy. Especially coming from Altman's first movie with Cher, I really did not like either of these. The Player seems to be widely beloved, but it just did not work for me. I just felt no need to watch a story concerning the main scumbag. Pret-a-Porter had some elements I can get behind, but it didn't go far enough in its mockumentary style to really stick the landing. None of that blame falls on Cher, however, as she had about 6 lines between both of her brief appearances. So you might be wondering why after Mermaids, Oscar winner Cher spent the next 4 years doing cameos. Well, at first, as far as I can tell, she was booked and busy doing other things, releasing new music, going on tour, and a whole host of other ventures. Some sources say she contracted the virus at this time as opposed to pre-Mermaids, but that doesn't really make sense considering all the things she had going on and the roles that she turned down in 1989. Besides all this, though, in 1993, Cher made a string of infomercials for Lori Davis, selling hair and skincare products. There was immediate backlash, and she once again became instantly unserious in the eyes of the public, even being parodied on SNL. It didn't just hurt her film career, but all other opportunities as well. She later said, "The infomercials were just devastating to my career. I've always just done what I wanted and it's just worked out. Not this time. I really screwed up." And so, she wouldn't work in films again until 1996. In April of that year, she starred in Faithful as Margaret, an unhappy housewife who is kidnapped in her own home by a hitman sent by her cheating husband. Although this movie has been essentially completely forgotten by the public, if there is one movie you decide to watch from this video, please consider this one. It might just be because I love Cher, but this movie was really good. It's basically just a vehicle for her to monologue and be her funny self, and I live. The twists and suspense are also really good in my opinion, although the critics definitely disagree. So if you're so inclined, go check it out. Apparently Cher refused to promote the movie because she thought it was horrible, but I cannot find a single reliable source for that, so I don't know. Later that year came the made-for-TV movie If These Walls Could Talk, a movie segmented into 3 parts, each concerning a woman's experience with abortion in a different decade. Cher does not take a big role in this movie, playing the doctor in an abortion clinic, but she does make her directorial debut in the 3rd act of the movie. Demi Moore, who stars and executive produced the movie, spent 7 years trying to get the movie made, as she felt compelled to speak on the topic. I definitely agree that this movie is important, especially in light of recent events, but I cannot say that I enjoyed it. Some parts are incredibly painful to watch, and ultimately I just don't think it does a good job portraying the positive effects of abortion. But as a production of its time, I can give it some grace. Cher was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress in a TV movie, her first award nod since Moonstruck, and also her last. From here on out, Cher's filmography becomes much more sporadic, making movies several years apart from one another. In 1998, she releases her most successful single of all time, Believe, and she's 52, so great scripts just probably are not coming her way. She definitely didn't have to be acting, and by now, we know Cher's not going to do anything that she does not want to do. So her next film wouldn't come until 1999, when she starred in Tea with Mussolini. She plays Elsa, a rich American socialite and performer who is obviously quite similar to Cher. The story takes place in Italy, chronicling the history of Mussolini's rise to power and World War II, shown through the lens of these elderly British women. So, I didn't love this. Cher gives a good performance, but doesn't take up a lot of time in this ensemble cast. Overall, I found the plot to be somewhat boring and meandering, but the reviews are mixed, so there's definitely people who enjoyed this. I would venture to say this is Cher's last serious movie, although I know she does not like that label. She's playing a version of herself, yes, but it's still a drama that deals with a historical situation. All of her following films would be musicals or comedies in some forms, so I don't think I'm saying anything crazy. 4 years go by, and in 2003 we get Stuck on You. Originally, I wasn't going to include any movies where Cher plays herself in her filmography, but this turned out to be a great example of why I should. Am I saying the movie is good? No, not at all. It's not terrible, but it's not good. The reason I say it was worthwhile to include is because despite the fact that Cher is playing herself, she has a pretty sizable role in this movie. Every time she came back on screen, I was just amazed that her cameo wasn't over. And we get this gem.
I don't beg. And you know why I don't beg? Yeah. Because I am a fucking Oscar winner!
But anywho, the plot follows conjoined twins Bob and Walt as they move to LA so Walt can pursue acting. It's your standard stupid, slightly problematic, early 2000s comedy, except for the fact there are so many cameos in this movie. I don't know what kind of dirt the Farley brothers have, but besides Cher, this movie contains cameos from Jay Leno, Cameron Diaz, Luke Wilson, Tom Brady, and Meryl Streep. Like, what the And Meryl has several lines and a storyline. It's not just a throwaway. So to summarize, the movie was not good, but it certainly could have been a lot worse. We have to wait another 7 years before we get Cher's next film, Burlesque, which unfortunately for me was the last one of her movies that I enjoyed. And even that is saying something, because I did not necessarily love this. Cher plays Tess, the owner and head diva of her burlesque show, opposite ex-Tina. And to me, this was fine. I'm not like in love with Christina Aguilera or anything, so her being the star didn't really do it for me. Also, there was no reason this had to be 2 hours, like absolutely no reason. I will say Cher's opening number is gonna do it for me every time though. But yeah, overall, I did not live. Cher went on to say, "It could have been a much better film. It was always sad that it was not a good film. Terrible director, really terrible director, and really terrible script. I remember him saying to me, I don't care about what you say. I just want to shoot the dance numbers. Had it been shorter, it would have squeaked by and been a really good popcorn movie. Queens think alike, so obviously we agree. Reviews were okay, but do we honestly care at this point? It's fun, it's sparkly, it's unserious, it's Cher." Moving on to 2011, Cher does her first voice acting role in Zookeeper as Janet the Lioness. Do I even have to discuss this? It's bad. It's really bad. Not because of Cher. I mean, she has about 5 lines, but this was really bad. I actually just really don't want to talk about this movie, so I think we're just gonna move on. Another 7-year hiatus until 2018, when Cher graces us with her presence in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Now, Cher, she ate down, no question. But overall, this movie just did not do it for me. And I know it's beloved, but it just does not compare to its predecessor, in my opinion. What made the first one so charming was the mother-daughter relationships and the relationships between older women. Why even bother when you're not going to try and recapture that? Also, what a missed opportunity to have Meryl and Cher sing together, but whatever. With this movie came the ABBA remake album Dancing Queen and a subsequent tour, so it was pretty successful for Cher. It remains her highest grossing movie worldwide to date. At the time of recording, Cher's final movie came in 2020 with Bobbleheads the Movie, in which she voices a bobblehead version of herself. What a way to go out. Now, there are already lots of videos that go into how bad this movie is, so for the sake of brevity, I'm just gonna read out a list of crimes that I wrote down while I was watching. The skater bobblehead's black scent, the water effects, the hairy cantaloupe that looks way too vulgar, the generally awful animation, especially for a movie made in this century, the terrifying baby, the constant bobbling, and the weirdly overly sexual poses between the skater bobble and the baseball player bobble. So obviously none of this is Cher's fault, but the whole time I was watching, I kept thinking to myself, why would she ever agree to do this? Amazingly, someone on Twitter asked her the same thing, phrased pretty rudely, but whatever, and she actually answered. She said, "Babe, I did my part. I was actor. I had no control over what they did to film, but I'm so sorry. An animation I've done. You're alone in booth. Scooby special, I think that's adorable. Again, I'm so sorry." In a follow-up tweet, she said, "Re-bobblehead film. I'm sorry you're upset. I've done my best to make you happy, laugh, cry, be entertained. I think you'll love Scooby." So, firstly, I should mention that Cher is dyslexic, and at the time of posting these, 75 years old, so let's forgive the typos. But also, this just makes me really sad. Like, she's so apologetic for something that's not even her fault. Like, yes, the movie's awful, but take that up with the directors, I don't know. And so with that, I've taken you through all 20 of Cher's films. And what a journey it's been. Her filmography was ever-changing as her life went on, sometimes reflecting her own persona and sometimes far from it. What I want to leave you with, though, is not Cher's latest movies, which could be called stinkers. Cher is an incredibly talented actor who, like I said before, overcame truly gargantuan odds to get to where she is today. Some really, really talented actors never win an Oscar. So for her to do that is incredible. Further, most female musicians turned actors don't even come close to touching the level of success that Cher achieved. Barbra Streisand is the only other comparable musician turned singer, but even then she wasn't really a pop star, and she didn't have as big as a persona as Cher to overcome. Nowadays, it's pretty common and accepted for female artists to go into the field of acting, but Cher is really the prototype. Also, even in the movies I didn't love, what remains clear is Cher does what she wants to do. Whether in film, TV, or music, Cher cultivated a sense of agency that I don't think any celebrity besides maybe Madonna has ever achieved. She did what she wanted regardless of what the public thought. And while sometimes it flopped, it often triumphed and gave her the ability to constantly redefine herself. She has stayed this successful for this long because of her ability to change over time and give the public something new, no matter what was popular. Cher is going to be 78 this year, and although she is immortal, we should undoubtedly be giving her flowers now. She'll always be a one-of-a-kind star in my eyes. And if I ever have to watch any other actor's entire filmography, I doubt I'll be as committed as I was to doing this. Oh, God. We are done. That is a wrap. You guys, thank you so much for watching. As you can see, we have a new set. I was supposed to, oh my God, y'all. I ordered a mic. I ordered this little like thing to go over it. Like I was gonna have a whole setup for this video. And when I tell you the mic just simply does not work. So yeah, we're still rocking with the phone. But trust, eventually I will get a mic, okay? I promise. Yeah, I just recently changed rooms. We got the posters in the back. We got a nicer setup. I can put the stuff on the desk. So yeah, this one took a hugely long amount of time, as you can probably tell. And I'm just really hoping that it turns out how I want it to turn out, and that I edit it good and it doesn't get copyright claimed. And yeah, that just somebody will see it and appreciate it. So that's kind of all I have. Thank you so much for watching. If you did make it this far, have a lovely rest of your day. Goodbye.